Welcome to the Pathfinder Legacy Podcast, where we help farmers, ranchers, and business owners create a seamless tradition plan for the future. From retirement to ownership transfer, we protect what you've built and guide you every step of the way.
Welcome back to the Pathfinder Legacy Podcast, where we talk about building wealth for the next generation through planning, purpose, and preserving what matters most. This is part 2 of my family legacy conversation with Lance Ladner, Heidi Odom, and Blythe Odom. In part 1, we heard about family roots, growing up on the land, livestock, school bus stories, hard work, and childhoods that were shaped by wide open spaces and close family ties. In this episode, we move into traditions that helped hold this family together. Thanksgiving syrup making, the cane mill, river camping, fishing, old family seed corn, sweet potatoes, the smokehouses, farming changes, and what it meant to grow up in a place where everybody knew everybody. These are the kinds of stories that remind us legacy is not just about what is owned. It is about what is remembered, repeated, taught, and protected. So, as you listen in today, think about your own family traditions. What have you inherited that does not show up on a balance sheet? What skills, values, recipes, there's always lots of family recipes floating around, land, lessons, or maybe it's the memories that need to be preserved before they are lost. This is growing legacy, not just assets. I'm surprised that they still hosted it.
Me too.
Yeah. Had you guys there. In today's world, they would.
They probably would not.
Yeah.
They wouldn't.
But back then,
I guess that would have been in 80.
Yeah, because I was
graduated in 82.
That's probably right.
Yeah, I was 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what were the holidays like? I mean, you guys had most of your family around here and cousins and so forth. Did you celebrate the holidays together?
Thanksgiving was syrup making.
Yeah.
And everybody come through here on Thanksgiving Day. And I'm not talking about just like
Not just family.
No, not just family. Community came to this kitchen to eat Thanksgiving dinner.
Mama
and they didn't
cooked.
eat it. It wasn't a sit down. It was you take your shift, your break down there at the cane mill and come in.
You come through and you got you something to eat and you went right back.
to the cane mill.
To the cane mill. Okay, so
Yeah.
talk about how this happened. For our listeners, what was the cane mill?
Where you ground the sugar.
So that was, I guess you would say, one of the things that's a little bit unique to this area, and that's sugar cane. And that's what
making syrup.
And it was what they used to sweeten a lot of stuff. And I mean, we grew up eating them old syrup cookies that Mama would make, and his mom always made them too. And but you actually squeeze the juice out of the sugar cane and then cook it down and make it into a syrup.
Went into a pan and made it to syrup. And Daddy would make syrup for lots of people.
Mm-hmm.
They would haul the cane here.
Mm-hmm.
He would cook every day. He took off on the weekend.
3 or 4 weeks, though.
For sometimes a month or more at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's all he done was make syrup for
Mm-hmm.
people.
So you guys had the cane mill in town in Poplarville?
Right here.
Just
Yeah.
right here. So they were making the syrup and milling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that little shed, that we looked at, that's where it all took place.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Like I said, the only thing missing is the mill
is the
itself
mill.
And actually,
Daddy-
it went back.
to where it came from.
Well,
That's right.
Daddy went over, I think, in Louisiana and got it.
He told me he bought it from Arlen's daddy.
That's right.
And because that's what he told me when he sold it back to Kevin, he said it went right back where it come from.
Yeah, it was a horse-drawn mill, but we pulled it with a tractor.
Yeah.
I remember that.
She did, huh?
And then Daddy got a power mill, they called it, that run on a belt, like
Like
a
a pulley.
PTO.
Yeah.
And actually, the thing to hook it to the tractor is still out there. And he had bought it from Arlen Lee's daddy. And then after my dad had the stroke and all, Arlen wanted to buy it back from him because his son wanted to start making syrup.
So Thanksgiving, that was the big time to be milling some sugar.
Yeah, and it was
And
it was
everybody
great. Everybody was here.
Was coming here. Like, how many people were you talking?
Oh man, probably over the weeks. There ain't no telling how many people come through this kitchen and ate.
I know too, when Daddy was making, that Jack Mobley would bring the school kids on a school bus out here
Take a tour?
to let them see
let
it
them
and
see
take
it.
a tour. You remember that, Lynn?
I do.
And they would be a school bus come and they'd stay
A little while.
and get
go
leave
get
and
another load.
to come and they
Okay.
would bring the kids. That was the upper elementary. What grades was that?
Well, if it was upper, it'd have been 4th through 6th.
No, it was just 2 over there at that
Elementary. And
7th and 8th.
Well, that was junior high. That was at the high school.
Not then it was.
Not then?
Was not.
I'm pretty sure Patty's right. I was going to say 6th and 7th grade instead of 8th, but I'm not sure.
I don't remember if it was 6 and 7 or 7 and 8, but there's only 2 grades over there.
I didn't know that was ever structured like that.
Oh, yeah. It was structured way different when you went to school.
So would they eat too when they would come?
No.
They just come in
They
for a
just come
tour,
to look at
but then all the other
Yeah,
work
they didn't
things
come.
Yeah, anybody that was down there helping
Working.
come in and
Mama
eat.
cooked for her. She cooked day in and day out.
She cooked a pot of chicken gumbo that was that tall, that big round. It was full of gumbo and big pans of dressing and all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that was your Thanksgiving.
That was our Thanksgiving.
Spending here.
Pretty much every year.
Yep. Yeah.
What about for Christmas?
Everybody just did
Just did
their
their
own
own.
thing then, I guess.
My family
I-
celebrated, well, Christmas was on my mama's side. That's where we spent Christmas with her family.
Okay.
We
Yeah,
just
it's kind of around here.
And you guys were here. So your mom's side, was that close by to this area, or where was your
Yeah,
mom's
no,
side?
it was real close.
Everybody was
yeah.
close for you too.
Yep.
So you spend time with that side of the family. And
During Christmas, and the Christmas was spent there, and the Thanksgiving, I say, normally was spent here because of the syrup making.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there anything else special that you guys did recall throughout the year for any of the other holidays?
No, that was,
Family
I
traditions?
guess, the big stuff, huh?
As far as I know,
I mean, we didn't really do a lot for anything else. So.
my granddaddy, when we was kids on my mama's side, he loved the 4th of July.
I always liked the 4th of July, but I mean, I guess we would grill and all sometimes.
Yeah,
cook
we
out.
always on 4th of
Cook
July.
out.
We'd have,
Well, y'all used to go to the river
just
all
to
the
say, well,
time.
before
Used to
she was born, we would always go camping on the river on the 4th of July. But then it got to where so many people bought up the land. It wasn't like the public timberland. It was private land. And it just got where it was hard to get
Camp.
Encroached on. So you
Because
could
y'all used to
camp.
go float the river and camp right down there on
We
the
camped
river,
at
didn't you?
Blythe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I thought.
We always camped at Blythe.
We camped at the pipeline.
Right. Well, we
Used to
camped
did.
at Blythe.
We were a little north, yeah.
But Daddy always loved to float the river.
Yeah.
Lance did too. They
We
With
float the
tubes?
river.
No, with a
about
flatboat.
fish.
I actually floated with Levi and fished a bunch. With
Yeah.
him and my granddaddy.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
His granddaddy,
was Levi's uncle, right?
yeah, because his granddaddy on his mama's side and our granddaddy on our daddy's side was brothers.
Okay.
Isn't that right?
So you guys would go out and float the river and
And
fish?
fish.
Yeah, that's the way I got started. First with my granddaddy, and I floated with Uncle Levi some too. And I was big and young and strong, and they were old. So I pulled the boat around the bad logs and paddle them, and they fish most.
And what were you catching?
Little yearling bass and some red bellies. There's sun perch and some bluegills, and that's pretty much it. Goggle eyes. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's just another brim.
Okay.
And they would catch a nice chest full of them things with fly rods and come home and clean them and have a fish fry. Like I said, their daddy and my mother love fried fish.
Yeah.
Levi would eat them, just pick them. There wasn't been nothing but the shiny bones left when
Yeah.
you got fish.
And the next morning he'd get up and start on them again.
Start on them again.
For breakfast.
Yes,
Yep.
cold fish. I never could understand how you could do that, but he did.
He did.
So you guys would cook up everything that you caught. It
Yeah.
didn't really last very long. It was,
Well, I mean, they freeze a lot too after they had freezers.
But on the
'cause,
other hand, too, now Levi and Houston have floated every week.
yeah, they would.
Yeah.
That's what I was
So-
thinking. Say we always had fish in the freezer too.
okay.
Mhm.
How many of you were out fishing? 3 of you at a time?
No, in that little boat, just two.
Just 2 of you
Yeah,
is what
one man paddling, one man fishing.
Yeah.
And we're talking about small streams too. Now.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't nothing big. You could wade across most places. There was some.
Probably walk if you were
deep.
tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
mhm.
Some holes that are deeper.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Do you guys still do any of that today?
I never did like it, so no, not
No.
me.
I still love it, but rarely get to do it.
Rarely get to. Life gets in the way.
Life gets in the way, and just as she just said, most of the land's been bought up private. It's hard to get to it and have a place to float to and from.
But we used to go over there to Blythe and camp like for a week.
Yeah, around the 4th. I can remember going just a couple times, but I mean, I must have been so small that I barely remember.
I know Mom and Daddy had a pop-up camper that they would normally sleep in, and us kids, I mean, we just have a sleeping bag on the ground, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But we mainly camp with one of Daddy's sisters and her family.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it was just us.
Mm-hmm.
Spending time together.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was just going to say, one of the things that always struck me is Mom always talked about when they were kids, like how much they walked everywhere. Like they either walked or rode a horse everywhere, you know, and it sounded like they walked to a lot of places. Isn't that what I kind of remember too?
I heard Daddy talk about a bunch of times, especially during sheep shearing time, that they would leave, or Lawrence would leave the old place, leave before daylight, and be up there to Uncle Ray's or Lashie's at daylight. And what's that, straight up 4 miles, maybe 4 miles?
Yeah, probably 4.
But he would leave before daylight, be there at daylight, shear sheep all day, and then walk home after dark.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, that's...
they walk.
They walk everywhere.
That's probably what's wrong with everybody nowadays. We don't get
We don't walk.
Right?
I don't know. Lance has walked a lot of miles behind them bird dogs.
Yeah.
The other thing that I remember, and we were talking about this earlier, they talked about driving turkeys, and I just can't even imagine driving a turkey, herding a turkey anywhere. But they drove turkeys all the way to Mobile, which is, I mean, what's that? 70, 80 miles?
Oh my gosh. And were they
To
using
sell
dogs?
them. No, I don't know. I don't know how they did it, but they always talked about driving turkeys.
Well, a little bit, Daddy talked about it. They drove them on horses, and they'd get them started that way, and it wouldn't be no drive. It was more like a peck along, let them feed, peck, and
keep herding them
herding them in that general direction. And at night, they would roost. And the next morning, they'd put them back on the move.
Yeah.
Well, the other story I remember, and I can't remember if it was your daddy I heard tell it or if it was Mama, but they always talked about, and this was always just kind of funny to me, but I guess somebody bought a milk cow from Lawrence, and he put a rope on her front foot. It was somebody over around Silver Run, and they took her over there with a rope on her front foot to keep her from getting away, and just took her like that. Do y'all ever remember any of them talking? Maybe it was Hollis told that.
I never heard that story.
I do remember that, though. And maybe it was Hollis talking about somebody did that, but I just always thought that was kind of funny. You put a rope on her front foot.
Almost like hobbling her.
Yeah. Just kept a hold to her, you know, the whole way.
I don't remember that one.
That might have been from Hollis. That might have not been from our crew. We had an older neighbor that was lived right here that was even older than our parents. Okay. So he had some really good ones, and that might be what I heard that.
Okay. So the turkey story is interesting because whether those birds must have lost some weight by the time they got to where they were.
Some, probably not much, because like I said, they didn't really drive them. They just let them pick their time, and I'm sure they ate insects, and if they come to an acorn patch or whatever, they stopped and let them feed. Some days they wouldn't make many miles, I would think.
That's what I was going to say. I wonder how long it took to drive a turkey to Mobile.
What a tedious process. I wouldn't have wanted to be on that wagon train.
And I mean, it wasn't just turkeys. They took all kinds of livestock down there. It was just, that was the one that always stuck. It just sticks out in my mind. Who drives turkeys 80 miles, you know?
Right. Yeah, that's a trek. That's a trek. So what about any of those other family traditions that you guys have seen carried on from your grandparents, parents, and on to you? Is there anything that comes to mind in those other family traditions that they've done outside of the.
Well, you still grow corn.
Well, I was fitting to say,
and
I
feed
still,
cattle
I
corn.
still plant the same old corn that my daddy and my granddaddy planted, and we still mill it ourselves.
Okay.
We still have the cane patch. We have a cane mill and pan and everything at the house at my daddy's place up there. We still cook syrup pretty much every year.
Okay.
And I have not done this in a long time, but I have a smokehouse at my house. I mean, I probably have lost a lot of it, but I know enough to kill a hog and preserve it and the salt and the smoke and to make my own meat.
And you've kept those old white sweet
I got
potatoes.
old white
Grandpa
sweet potatoes that
I want to get some draws.
my daddy's had all my life. He's had it was coming from his daddy. I still have the same seed of them. I bet them every year. When they make draws, we plant them.
Daddy always
Yeah, our
did
daddy
too.
always kept them
I
up, and then
wanna
we
get
kind of
some back
lost
from
them.
him. It's when he got sick. I kind of,
We
Like
just
kinda
didn't.
lost
We
it.
just didn't.
I just couldn't keep it up.
How long has this corn, this seed, has it been 100 years? Plus years?
It
I'm gonna
has to be.
say it is. The story that I remember was my grandpa Lawrence had took some corn to a mill somewhere to grind, and there was a man there with this old white corn, and he said a cup full of seed from him, and that's where that come from.
Okay.
And
So
that
just-
would have been in the early 1900s, most probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just from, a cup of seed, he's continued this tradition and keep it going for so long, and you guys are grinding.
There was 3 families right here that I knew that grew this. Y'all's and my daddy and Hollis.
Okay.
All had that same corn. And if normally one of them made enough to make seed anyway, if the crop failed. Of course, since we've got deep freezers,
I'd say.
I keep seed in case something
I
goes
got
bad.
some
When
seed.
Yeah, I was going to say we still
should still be good. I mean, it's
Yep.
been in the freezer where back when they didn't have freezers, they had to just make sure they made
Didn't
seed
lose it.
until the
Kept it
next
dry
year.
and yep. So then you were using the corn for cattle feed. You had a couple of different things. So you were milling it or, cornmeal, cattle feed, or grits, making grits. And has that been a family recipe?
That's not really a recipe. You put a cup in the boiling water and boil it, and then you slap a little butter on them, and they're good.
And it's
And it has a lot different taste than bulk grits.
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
it's not your Waffle House grits.
No, probably wouldn't be the grits that I would have tried. Yeah. How about any family weddings or other family gatherings? Would you have any?
I don't know. Y'all went to Florida and got married. I wasn't invited, so I don't know.
I don't do I went to mine and that's it. I might go to my kids, but after that, I'm done with it. I don't go. Yeah, they made me.
Yeah, they made him put on a white shirt and a black coat. I saw the picture.
That's about as close as
There
it
you go.
gets.
There you go. Hey, at least you were there. You made
That's right.
Yeah, you made it.
I don't do outings. I don't go to them.
So what are some of those, other things with farming? You guys have seen a lot of changes over the years and so forth. If you could go back and tell your younger selves or even tell your parents, that's a deep question, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. And the changes. I mean, I can remember riding the horse that Daddy was plowing. I mean,
I can't remember that.
He would throw me up there, and I'd hold on to the hames, and he was plowing with it.
But it seems like I do remember Daddy number something with, plowing some garden stuff or something
with a mule or a horse,
but not like a big.
Oh, that's what Daddy was plowing the garden.
Yeah,
Like I say, he'd throw me up there, and I'd ride while he plowed.
I do remember, and I could be thinking about seeing horse, but it seems like I remember Daddy. I think Daddy used old malled some to plow some. I wonder if
He did.
Uh-huh.
But then they went to the old open cab tractors, the old farm hauls and whatnot, pulling the little disc to what we've got now is cab and air and big disc.
Some people do.
Yeah, I
I don't know. I was freezing to death tonight, but now I was wishing I had a cab and air on that tractor.
Not enough heat coming off of that.
Why didn't you use the skid steer?
Well, I had my auger bucket hooked to the skid steer. And I've been putting hay out with the tractor.
Another big thing, too, that I think about the farming, and this was before my daddy's time, but talking about fertilizing the corn and the stuff that they grew. My daddy actually said that in the summertime, they would build a smoke for the cattle. They would come into that smoke to fight flies. In the summer, the cattle would come lay by it. And of course, they would sleep there. And the next morning, you know what they do the first thing they do when they get up. And he said he would remember they had a board that they drug behind a horse, and they would drag all of that cow manure into a pile. And then the next spring, I guess it would have been that would have stayed there all winter that spring. That's what they shoveled into a wagon and hauled to the field.
I had not ever heard that.
Daddy told me that several times right there in their old place.
Okay. So that's how they were getting into their fertilizer.
That's how they got some of it. Well, that's how they got all of it. There wasn't no commercial fertilizer then.
Right.
It was either that or cleaning the stalls.
Clean the barn out. Yeah. We were over at that Shaw place today, and that dip vat's still there.
Yep, I remember that.
And that's what we were looking at, how they had it where it was a ramp down. They didn't have no choice but to fall into that thing.
No, they had.
Did y'all ever see that work? Did you ever see one?
I've never seen it work.
I did. Over here.
That Willie place.
Yeah, if that.
We used to, when we had that Swilly place leased, we would put the dogs on the cattle and bait them up. And we would drive, 40, 50 head of cattle down the Blacktop Road, down to that old lot. And we would pin them. And we would sort the cows in the caves, would work the caves, cut the bull caves. Daddy'd mark some of the heifers. And then we'd line everything up and drive them through that chute. Daddy would pour that old 8 feet of thiazine.
Yeah, I bet it was.
Was it then? I thought that was worm.
It is.
But he poured it in the dip vat for the flies.
Oh, well, I don't know.
No, it was
there was something they called highlight.
I don't remember, but he would pour. There you go. Say that. Lentox. He would pour 2 big jugs of that in that dip vat, which was already full of water from last year in the rain. And then we'd drive them cattle through it. They'd jump off in it and go slap out of sight. And then come up swimming, come up the other end.
Okay.
Yeah, he took a picture of me today standing in it to show how deep it was,
Yeah, they'd fall off in there, and like I say, they'd go clean up.
We drove them down there every summer and run them through that.
Okay.
And that was for flies and ticks. I guess. Ticks mainly, I guess.
And that was at the Shaw?
No,
this was another place.
This is a different place that you were at. So would you do that with other livestock too?
No, just the cattle.
Just the
It's
cattle.
the only thing I ever seen put through it. I don't know that they ever run a sheep through them. I never seen that. Never.
Yeah.
Well, the sheep had enough wool to keep them off their body. They would just be on their ears and face,
Yeah. So you've seen all those change. Well, and you've heard your parents talk about how many generations. I didn't ask you guys this before. So would you think, because this area of the country was settled so much longer than where we're at in the north. So how many, if you were to guess?
Let's see. Even if we just started with the Carlos that we know we came from, it would be Carlos, Lawrence, Herschel, you, and then your kids. So that's at least 6, and we know there's a few more before that. We're just not sure how many Carlos Ladners they were. There was a Moe's that Mama always talked about that was that. So it's actually, I know of 7.
Yeah, I shouldn't say that.
I know of 7 at least.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember talking
because I don't remember if Moe's was Carlos's grandpa or daddy.
I think it was his daddy.
Okay. So at least 7.
At least 7 generations, including your kids.
With his kids.
With your kids. So, you've heard the stories and you've seen, a lot in your lifetime in helping with your parents and stuff. Do you miss any of that? What would have been your favorite part that you miss that you wish you could go back to?
I miss all of it.
I speak to say I miss my whole 18 and under.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I would have stayed right here and left things exactly the way they were for the rest of my life.
I would have to. I would
Me
go
too,
back
really.
and get away from the generation and the social media and all of the.
I mean, not to say that life ain't good. I mean, I would have done everything the same as I've done it, but I mean, it was a wonderful childhood to grow up in.
All the roads out here was gravel.
Mm-hmm.
No
You didn't
paved.
have a lot of traffic. You could pretty much just
Pretty
go
much if
do
you-
whatever you wanted to, really.
You knew if somebody come down that road, you knew who they were.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Everybody was waving at everybody.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I mean that's
And-
why Mom and them didn't worry about us being out there. But and if some of us got hurt on the road,
Somebody was
would
going to
find
come along.
Right.
But now when Blythe was coming, like I said, she was 13 years younger. And things was already getting a little different.
It got a lot different after they paved this road. I was probably 10 or so when they paved this road.
I don't know, but I'll
probably.
never forget the time.
Because we used to play in the culverts. We thought those, but when they put those big culverts in, we were like, oh man, this is just the greatest thing because we can just set up shop under those culverts, in those culverts to play in them and all. And
until we started getting.
But that's when you started getting a lot more traffic because this road kind of become a cut through road from Poplarville to Gulfport. And then we also got around the same time the big timber company that had been here forever started selling off tracts of land. So you started getting a lot more people in the area.
Yeah. One thing I remember was I went riding horses with you and Shayla on some of the old timber company roads, and these dirt bikes come up behind us. And they started talking about somebody had told them there was a dirt trail and all this stuff. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. You need to just go on. And, I got to thinking about it then. I said, because they were still pretty small. And I said, if, that'd have been bad if they'd have come up on them kids.
But we still rode a lot.
Yeah.
By ourselves.
But I
were all
that was
working.
something that we
didn't ever have to deal with.
We didn't have to deal with.
Right. Right. And you started to see.
You just started to see that progression.
Progression. And with people moving into the area and not those that weren't farming.
Yeah.
But they were just out doing recreation.
Because and I mean, literally, when we were kids, it was pretty much family. This whole road was pretty much family from Barth Crossroads back to Poplarville, really, or to Highway 53.
Yeah,
I mean, they wasn't so mate.
Yeah, the resters that really wasn't family, but they had not.
Yeah, but they were they had been another old family that had been in the area, and you had the Davises down in there, but I mean, they were off the road, so yeah. I mean,
everybody was all worked together.
I mean, it was just like she said, you knew whoever come down the road.
Right. Thank you for joining me for part 2 of this family legacy conversation on the Pathfinder Legacy Podcast. Today, we heard about Thanksgiving at the cane mill, syrup making, river memories, old seed corn, family land, farming changes, and a community where neighbors shared what they had and helped one another make it through. These stories remind us that legacy is built in the everyday moments around the table, in the field, on the river, in the garden, and through the traditions we choose to keep alive. At the end of the day, legacy is not just the land you leave behind, it is the wisdom, work ethic, traditions, and family stories you make sure the next generation knows how to carry on. And that is why these conversations matter. Whether your family has land, a farm, a business, or simply a story worth preserving, planning gives you a way to protect more than just assets. It helps protect the people, the memories, and the values behind them. Join us next week for part 3 as we continue the conversation with more stories and advice this family wants the next generation to remember. Thanks for joining me today on the Pathfinder Legacy Podcast. If this episode made you think about your own farm's future, your family's land, or the legacy you want to leave behind, consider sharing it with a family member or a friend who could use the help. Sometimes the hardest conversations are the ones that matter the most. And if you are ready to start your own legacy planning conversation, you can book a 30-minute discovery call with me at pathfinderlegacy.com. Until next time, I'll see you between the ditches.
Thanks for listening to the Pathfinder Legacy Podcast, where your future is our focus. Be sure to subscribe, follow us on social media, and visit us at pathfinderlegacy.com to start building your transition plan today.